Hi, my name is Hetty Brits, and I am a founding member of the EI Activator, or EIA for short. The EIA team is passionate about emotional intelligence growth, leadership, personal growth, relationships, anywhere where people can grow, work better together, and live and love better. That's where we like to operate. And we have a membership model, but we also have a biannual open experience called the Switch on Your EI Gene Bootcamp. And this happens on Facebook, which is not a platform that everybody on LinkedIn enjoys navigating. If you are one of those, we see you, we hear you, some of us are you. That is quite all right. And for that reason, I will be giving a summary of the learning that takes place during bootcamp at the end of every day right here on LinkedIn, so that those of you who don't have time to join another group, who may not want to wade through comments and Q&As and other people's inputs, but just want the bottom line. What does EI gene mean, and what are the genes you're turning on, and how do you switch them on, and what's an exercise I can do in 5 minutes? Then this is the place you want to be. So after explaining a little bit more about the bootcamp, I will summarize the very first day we had today. Yes, we started today on the 22nd of November, and we will run into early December with input happening every day on the group. And today we dug into self-awareness, and I'll share a little bit about that learning in a minute. All right, so out of the Knowing Me set of 4 genes, we picked the expressing gene. That's the assertiveness gene. That's the question, how well do I express myself? Am I able to do it? How do I come across? Do people experience me as manipulative? Am I clear? Is my tone a problem? Is it my face that needs fixing? What is going on? And sometimes we already know that because of the feedback that we get. And sometimes we are completely blindsided. There were people on our group today who said, I'm a super caring person, but people respond to me like I'm a witch. What's up with that? And that's often that disconnect between how we sound to ourselves in our head and how we sound to others. And then it's important to look at the breakdown of how an assertive person with healthy expression communicates. And I'll share that with you next. Now, this is quite a list, but I will highlight some of the 2 or 3 that stood out in our discussion today. But if you're able to, pause this video and just read all these comments on the left. Just read all these characteristics of an assertive person. And they also act as tips how to be more assertive in a healthy and balanced way. Now, timing stood out quite significantly. Several people who are more introverted said that they struggle to read the situation and step in at just the right time. They say they often kind of miss the cue. And then resentment builds up and remorse builds up, and also damage because the relationship is not healthy because I'm not able to step in and set some boundaries. And so the encouragement was for those who have a timing issue is to reflect on why we postpone. Is there a fear that we will create conflict? Well, then maybe it's important that we know that typically a person who stuffs it and postpones talking about it will eventually reach that point where the long fuse is all burnt up and the bomb does go off. And so if conflict is your fear, the sooner you speak, the better. Did you just say to yourself, oh my goodness, I could never say it that way. That'll never work. Or she does not know my boss. Well, you are exactly right. We are different. We speak differently and we listen differently from anybody else. And it has to do with our personality type. And in the EI Activator, even in our assessment, we differentiate for different personality types. When you take our assessment, your assessment doesn't look like anybody else's, because we take your Tall Trees leadership style profile result and we feed it into our machine, and that generates unique questions for you to answer when you do your assessment, and it gives unique tips for you to grow in every area based on your personality. Because here at EI Activator, we don't believe that there's something wrong with your design. We believe your design is there for a reason. It's brilliant, it's individual, and it's loaded with gifts. And you are resourced to do what it is you need to do. And one of your resources is your personality. And so we start with the default of your personality and say, hey, typically somebody with your personality, and you may be a pine tree, typically you would be, let's read that off the screen. It says, I carefully select my words to avoid being forceful or argumentative. So you may have thought those words were not careful enough that I just said, because you're very diplomatic. You do not like conflict. Or maybe you're the boxwood, and you say, they're going to see it all over my face. They're going to see how offended I am and how insecure I am, and then I'm going to feel awful. Yes, if you're a boxwood, that would be pretty hard to do. So maybe your assertiveness will be a letter that you write or an email that you write, or the words may need to be written out and practiced until you can say them without the emotional bleed that comes with it. And so each one of us may have to look at how we typically respond based on our personality type, and then build our assertiveness on that step by step so that we are still authentically ourselves, and at the same time are able to communicate clearly what we'd like to contribute and also what we'd like to expect from those around us.